DDG episode 207. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
Dave, I will give you 2 minutes to talk about the Detroit Lions.
Hey,
Uh,
first time since I don't even know now. I like the
in
'60s
your
since they were.
lifetime?
No, they went to one NFC Championship game like in '91.
Okay.
So, but like the running joke is right now the Lions went 0-16 this century and have been to an NFC Championship game, and the Cowboys haven't.
Yeah. Yeah. They had a run in the 90s, though, so they at least have that going for them. I just like see it, like Cowboys, or is like when you see the Yankees
Yeah,
struggle or the
yeah.
Lakers struggle, you're just like, it makes me feel good.
Yeah. So I mean, it's cool to be honest with you. It's kind of cool to be like the underdog favorite of the country, like the kind of the cool story. Like the Chiefs are there, the Ravens are there, the 49ers are there. Those three teams were kind of expected to be there. Everybody thought the Lions were going to be decent to above average this year. Yeah.
It seemed like every week people were like, you know what? It's good they made it this far, and that's they can say they made it this far, and then they win the game, and it's like, oh, okay, you know what? They made it this far. It's okay if they go home.
Yeah. As a fan, as a diehard Lions fan, my entire life, I am content with where they are. I will be disappointed if they lose, but at the same time, it is a successful season. So they are playing San Francisco, who is arguably the best team in the league, but it's the playoffs, and the Lions are playing really well. And I know Michael understands this more than other people do in a sports analogy. They're probably not the best team, but I think they are one of the healthiest teams going into these games, and that usually is more important.
Oh yeah, especially when you're talking about the NFL
Yeah.
at this far into the season. Yeah, that usually goes a little longer than it does in other sports.
So, and plus, I think everybody wants like an Eminem versus Taylor Swift Super Bowl.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even think of that, but I guess that could be possible.
It's been a lot of marketing because Eminem's been all over Ford Field, and Taylor Swift is dating a chief. So
yeah.
But anyway,
during Lion games, where they constantly show Eminem just
not during they'll show him every once in a while. But I know the team, like there's like if you look at like TikToks and all that stuff lately, they show him on the scoreboard. He attends the games. He has season tickets. But I don't feel like Fox or CBS and Peacock, who's ever been showing it, is constantly showing them. They'll do the standard like celebrity spotlight of like who's at the game. They are giving. I'm getting to get his name wrong, but they are giving a lot of airtime. I feel like to the Red Hot Chili Pepper drummer. He's from Detroit.
Okay, the guy who looks like Will Ferrell.
Yes, I was gonna say that's exactly what I was gonna say. Or technically, my wife corrected me, and Will Ferrell looks like him because he's older than Will Ferrell.
yeah, but like the drummer from Red, even though he's one of the best drummers to ever live, it's still one of those things where it's like, Will Ferrell's still more famous.
All right, so we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that posts every Thursday, 6 a.m. Eastern time on podcast services on the internet.
Chad Smith. I think his name is.
Possibly.
It's generic, I want to say. I could be wrong. I could be some random person.
You can check out our show notes. There's links in our show notes that you can check out. You can watch us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming, or on YouTube, youtube.com/Digital Days Gaming. You can also go to our website, digitaldaysgaming.com, and check that stuff out. We have a Discord server. We have a Facebook group. We have a Twitter. That's all linked in the show notes. I can dub some of those at the end of the show as well. But for the most part, if you watch us on Twitch and you want to subscribe to us and support us, you can do that. You can link Twitch Prime and or whatever it's called, your Amazon Prime to Twitch and get Prime Gaming. You get a free subscription to a streamer. It doesn't auto-renew, so please consider checking that. You can follow us on Twitch for free. You can subscribe to us on YouTube for free. You can subscribe to the podcast for free. You can leave reviews for free. You can leave reviews with words for free so that more people listen to the show and hopefully it moves up algorithms. So those are all ways that you can support us for free. There are other links in the show notes of Patreon and PayPal of other ways if you want to support us. Those are linked in the show notes and on the website as well. With all of that minutia out of the way, we're going to jump into the news.
Yep, and with the first story, I'm just going to take a sip of my alcoholic beverage because...
It looks like wine, but hey.
Yeah, no, it's a cranberry, apple, and
I'm impressed that you have a Sphere ice cube maker.
It's the only... No, it's not a maker. I just have the tray.
The tray, that's what I meant. Yeah, the silicone. Yeah.
I'm not fancy, Dave. I don't have one of the fridges that pump ice out.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I guess maker was the bad word, but you have a thing that makes circular ice.
It's the only way to drink alcohol, Dave. Or, for my case, 99% of the time when it's a hard day at work and I want to have a nice, fancier Coke. Just get the nice ice cubes out.
I am not. I am not a drinker, but growing up as a kid, when my dad would come home from work and my mom made my dad something, I think it was called a hot toddy.
Okay, yeah, it
and
sounds like old timey.
yeah, and that she would make it and put it in the freezer. That was kind of one of those times where you just like left dad alone.
Yeah. Me, if I'm having a good day, having a bad day, it's gonna always be a can of Coke with some ice. But today's one of those days where I ran out of Coke, and I'm like, well, I do have cranberry juice and vodka, and I need something. So this is a little bit of news. Bum me out. I feel like I'm one of the only people that is like genuinely upset about this. But Rock Band Harmonix announced that Rock Band 4's weekly DLC support is ending just shy of 8 years. It's either shy of 8 years or just over 8 years. It is ending this week with the last pair of songs that will be uploaded to it. Rock Band 4 they've been giving DLC for Rock Band 4 for again roughly 8 years, but Rock Band 1 started in 2007, and it was weekly DLC from Rock Band 1 to 3, and then they took like 2 or 3 years off before Rock Band 4. So they've been supporting this game basically since 2007, give or take like 2 years off.
Mm-hmm.
So there's currently 3,000 songs available. Currently, they put the game on sale down from $40 down to $9 or $9.99 as a way to, I guess, tease people because you can't get hardware anymore, and hardware has turned into like one of the most expensive things you can have. Like if you want a full Rock Band kit, you're looking anywhere from like $500 to $1,000 in the used market for a Rock Band set. But they at least put the game on sale. I ended up buying it even though I have a disc, just because I'm like, well, I don't have to take the disc out anymore. I'm just gonna do that. And then PlayStation, being PlayStation, I had to like re-download all the DLC even though I had like the disc installer. And they said they fixed that, that you do that. So I had to download like 437 songs.
I could see deleting the disc version of the game and then downloading the game again, but then everything else, the files should just link up.
Yeah, no, I just had to just re-download everything. But I remember
Click
in the last
select
firmware
all,
update,
go to bed.
Yeah. No, it was annoying because you have the PlayStation app and it tells you every time something's ready.
Oh,
so literally
yeah. Ready to play, ready to sing, ready to sing.
and the funny part about that is, turns out when you try and download stuff on your PS5, it can't really handle that many things in the download folder. So I would have to let it catch up. It took like roughly an hour of me just like queuing it up, having it download, queue it up, having it download. Because after I would get like 30 items into queue, the PS5 would be like, please stop. Let us catch up.
Have you noticed that games have kind of stopped? And I guess maybe I don't know necessarily, but like playing some of the Batman Arkham games again, like I have been playing, I noticed this more. So Arkham Knight, as an example, had like skin pack on top of skin pack on top of skin pack on top of skin pack for different suits and stuff you could wear or different pieces of content.
They just updated Arkham Knight like a month or two ago.
Right, but I meant like when you download like the Game of the Year edition or whatever, you get all that stuff with it, and it's all like suit pack 1, suit pack 2, suit pack 3, and I feel like now that again, I mean I could be wrong. Next month, Suicide Squad could release and have 14 pieces of file downloads that you need, but I feel like that has kind of gone away into more of just like it's just like a content pack, and they have everything in there.
They hide things in patches more often, so it's just a matter of the game reading your licenses that you own and just automatically issuing that out. But yeah, we'll talk about Suicide Squad in just a little bit. But yeah, Harmonix is basically just going to be working on Fortnite from here on out with the Fortnite Festival, which is very overpriced in terms. It's like $5 per song.
Oh, really?
But
okay.
You get to use it as an emote as well. And they're adding.
Is it available for V-Bucks?
I just know the equivalent of $5. So
because you can earn a lot of V-Bucks in the season pass.
Yeah, which is nice, but still $5 worth of V-Bucks is still a lot.
Yeah.
So
per song, yes,
per song. Because currently, right now for Rock Band, it's like $1.99 per song. So but you can't use the songs to emote in Fortnite. So there's that. But yeah, no, it just over 3,000 songs released as DLC for this game is crazy. So seeing that come to an end, I knew this day was coming eventually. It just sucks. It has to come along with the news of like, hey, we're just going to work on Fortnite. Because at this point, I just imagine, Fortnite is trying really hard to like add expansions to Fortnite, and if that doesn't work, I imagine studios just kind of get shuttered or
Yeah,
buried.
I mean I get your fear, but I like we talked about before, like I've realized with like when they released Lego Fortnite, like Fortnite's an app now. Like it's not
It
just
is an app, but
yeah,
for
I
the
know.
most part, people are only still going for either build or no build.
Yeah.
Like the
And
other stuff's cute.
Lego's doing well. So,
Lego's doing well, but it's also still relatively new. We'll see
yeah,
6 months
yeah.
to a year from now if Lego still really got that
When's the
support.
last time you played Rock Band?
Like a month ago.
Okay. I mean, because
Yeah,
not everybody can see it, but he's got a drum set behind him.
yeah, no, I have the drum set. I think I talked about it in the podcast. I repaired my Rock Band 1 guitar.
Uh-huh.
There's someone who has like a website where they make frets.
Okay.
Or not frets, strums.
Right.
And
okay.
they're literally homemade strums. Like the person just like 3D prints onto like keyboard keys
Yeah.
and like hot glues like a strum replacement. And I did that because I was just like I have the guitars, like the old guitars from like Rock Band 1, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna repair these because I still play frequently enough.
Okay. Is there any third-party peripherals that work?
So you basically no one's making new equipment, but like
Okay.
a good chunk of the Guitar Hero stuff, except for the last one, World, works
Okay.
for Rock Band. I'm talking about like the PS3 equipment still works on PS5.
Okay.
So if you still have the PS3 equipment with like the dongles, that still works on PS5. The PS4 equipment still works on PS5.
Okay.
It's just all that stuff has gotten so obsolete because people were just destroying that stuff at a certain point
Yeah.
because it was this cluster. So now there's like a real like want for it in the market. And this is me being, like, with the PlayStation 3 store where I'm like, they're going to close
Yeah.
it soon.
Yeah.
Now that Rock Band's not getting DLC anymore, I'm pretty confident that at least before the end of the year, they're just going to delist the 3,000 songs that are up on the store.
Oh,
Doesn't mean
jeez.
you will lose access to them.
Right, but you won't be able
You'll
to
still-
re-download them. So if you have a
No, you'll be able to
Okay.
You can re-download delisted stuff for the most part, but it's going to be like get what you want now because you can't. There's not a guarantee it's
Oh.
going to be there in the future. So if you have a wish list in your Rock Band right now, you probably want to pick up those songs soon.
And then
I'm waiting.
start hitting some garage sales like this spring.
Yeah.
Like, and just see if you can just get stupid lucky. Even if you don't have it, just flip it.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I have another Rock Band.
Like,
I have my Rock Band 1 drum set. This is behind me is my Rock Band 4 drum set. I kind of want to flip my Rock Band 1 drum set.
Johnny's point. Go to your local landfill. It'll be next to the Guitar Hero Dance Dance Revolution pads and ET
I
cards.
wish, Johnny. I wish.
Oh,
But
my
yeah, like
gosh.
most places are like marking that stuff up now. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a summer where I'm going to be hitting up garage sales just to see
Yeah.
if I get some loose
I
guitars.
have a feeling that like I live in a fairly dense area. Like I mean, in terms of a very well populated area, lots of neighborhoods, lots of houses. Yours, I've driven through your area once. Yours, I wouldn't say that yours is like as garage saley as my area is with garages.
It's spotty,
Yeah.
but we have like a lot of flea markets.
Right. But I swear I'll probably just like on a Saturday afternoon if Angela and I are running errands and I might just get out for a second and just take a spin like that at an estate sale or anything,
I've been noticing at like in Michigan, there's like oftentimes in like suburbs they'll do like entire neighborhood
Yeah. Yep.
yard sales, and that's one of those things where it's just like shit, gotta hit up one of those.
Just get that one person that just he finds that tote in their basement that just doesn't know what they have. Like
No, and that's basically what you're looking for. There are PDP is like
Okay.
kind of teasing that they might build some plastic instruments for Fortnite Festival,
Mm,
but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll be compatible for Rock Band,
yeah.
or if they're even going to mass produce them, because I don't see them mass producing anything crazy. I could see them doing like a limited run on guitars, which I would probably be stupid enough to grab, as long as it works with Rock Band. But yeah, Rock Band is going away, and we'll move on to the next news story about something that's going away. Dave, I don't know if this is funny or sad. 343 Studios is done with seasons for Halo Infinite, and they're basically moving into what they're calling operational model, which is they're still going to support it. There'll be some updates here and there for it, but for the most part, they're going to be focusing on their other projects, and the current season will be the last season of Halo Infinite. So not quite Infinite. Dave, you're a live service person. Halo Infinite on paper was pretty good. That first month it was out, people really seemed to enjoyed it, but it seems like they dropped the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen a concurrent player count or anything lately. I've seen some buzz around it, and I think that they tried to see if they could like squeeze one last hurrah. I feel like the last 4 to 6 weeks there was some conversation around some of the stuff they were doing, and I'm assuming they didn't see the return on investment of player count. And if I had to guess, go out on a limb here, are they just trying to work on another Halo?
I think so. I think if you're Microsoft, you still want to get Halo to do something. I mean, there's season 2 of the Halo TV series is coming out soon. Like, if you're Microsoft, you're still invested in Halo, and I don't know if any of the Activision companies are ready to like step up and like take over a Halo.
At this point in time, though, like release a full price $70 Halo game. Put it on Game Pass if obviously you will, and have an 18-month plan or a 24-month plan for it. Just say, hey, here it is. Here's a campaign, whatever, a 10 to 15-hour campaign, whatever the number is. And here is, I don't know, like here is 12 maps and 3 modes. And this is what we're going to do. And we're going to have a couple, I don't even like make them quarters instead of seasons, like one every 4 months, and say here's 6 quarters that we're going to release, which is 2 years, and that's the game. And it costs $70 and you get $100 for the deluxe edition, or it's $10 a quarter. Like, I don't stop trying to be the next Fortnite.
Especially the model they went for Infinite, where it was like halfway.
Yeah.
Like, oh, last second they're like, hey, we're gonna go free to play for the multiplayer, and it's like you didn't build it around that, so this model is not going to be sustainable.
Right. I think that there is a space for obviously is a space for a live service type game, but I also think there's still a space for box product of going and buying something that's $70 or $80, and you know what you're getting, and you don't have to worry about are they going to deliver on the content they're going to deliver on, because of the good and the bad of the double-edged sword of Game Pass. They can just punt. Like, that's what Microsoft's doing. They're giving up and they're punting, and they're going to try another possession. And they can do it with Game Pass. Like,
No, yeah, and that's ultimately like what Microsoft's going to have to figure out, because they're not going to be done with Halo. It's just they're going to have to figure out like a new game plan. And I don't think that game plan could be like, hey, the next Halo is going to be full free to play. Like they tried to do it this last second. They need to figure out what to do. And the answer could be it's not 343 Studios anymore.
Right. Or you do a full separation. 343 makes a single player campaign or a co-op campaign, and somebody else makes the free-to-play multiplayer. There are 2 separate entities, completely not connected at all, not the same menu, like nothing. It's Halo : whatever, and it's kind of like Call of Duty and Warzone. Now I know Call of Duty has multiplayer, but Warzone is its own independent thing.
And with reports that like Microsoft is like pulling copies of Starfield from stores, because they don't want to sell physical copies of Starfield anymore. They just want people to download it and get Game Pass. They don't even need to worry about a $70 product. If they want to just release a campaign by itself, unrelated to anything else on Game Pass, they could just do that and not have to worry too much. And then, to your point, do a multiplayer experience that is free to play or part of Game Pass. And it doesn't need to be like within a certain time frame of the other game's release. It could be something that fills time in between the next big release.
Yeah,
like there's options.
I don't know how quickly the turnaround could be, but get them on the right cadence and release a Halo, an 8 to 12 hour Halo campaign every 12 months.
Yeah, depending on what exactly you want to do. Especially like Halo doesn't really have to be the best looking game, so it's you could do a lot of things, or do shorter campaigns.
Miles Morales like things,
Yeah, the Adventures of Master Chief. There's like, hey, here's a 4-hour Master Chief campaign that releases along with like new maps or something.
That if you spoon feed that stuff, that's how you keep Game Pass subscribers. That's how you that's how you get more, and that's how you hold them. Oh, did you enjoy what you play? Come back for episode 2 in 6 months.
Yeah. I mean, hell, that's what Netflix is basically doing with the WWE. Now that
I saw that deal today. I'm so confused, and we have to talk about that. You have to add that to the thing, because I have to ask you a question.
Okay, yeah. I will. Well, I'll just add that to the news. WWE coming to Netflix. But yeah, Sucks that they named this game Halo Infinite
Yeah.
because it was supposed to be the Forever Halo product. But I guess that'll teach them to maybe name shit better.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll move on to the next story. This stuff I think just dropped today or yesterday. But Suicide Squad kind of revealed their roadmap or Rocksteady revealed their roadmap for Suicide Squad. And the first DLC for season 1 is going to be the Joker. So each season will feature a different DC character. They didn't say what season 2, 3, or 4 are going to be, but coming in March is going to be the first season featuring the Joker. He is going to be coming with, obviously, Joker is a playable character, new Joker themed playable environment, 2 episodes with new missions, activities, and strongholds, new boss fights and enemy variants, new DC villain themed weapons and gear, and then new Riddler content. The Joker thing that I guess was kind of the big reveal, which is the thing I've been suspecting all along with this game, is this is a Joker from Elseworlds because the Joker. Dave, you played Arkham City,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Joker died in Arkham City, and this takes place in the Arkham verse. So a lot of people were getting kind of pissed about like the idea of the Joker's coming because the Joker coming kind of leaked a while ago. And people were like, how are they going to do this? This doesn't make sense. And of course, the answer is the multiverse, which in DC is called the Elseworlds. So this is a younger Joker from a different universe who also was a part of the Suicide Squad. So it's a completely different take on the Joker we're used to. And basically just confirms that Suicide Squad is taking place with the Elseworlds theming,
which it has
which
to,
is pretty obvious.
It has to in order to support this continuous content update. You know, like where do you like you're eventually going to run out of heroes and you're eventually going to run out of villains. So, and I think that like so one of the others little mini like teases or series that they did is they showed like the newer version of Poison Ivy, like the Poison Ivy that Rocksteady's creating. And the storytelling that it looks like, at least on the surface, that they're doing for it makes sense. So I have a little bit of faith in them that they're gonna hopefully like tell this correctly and not just have him like appear after an update. You know, like all of a sudden he's just there. Obviously there's gonna be some mission content and some story content to it as well. It sounds like that all of this stuff is supposed to be free.
It will be free.
So I'd be curious what it is after season 4, because I don't know how much content that they can produce for free.
Being funded by cosmetics,
correct,
is a really weird model to be going for.
But as we get a little closer, I'm getting a little bit more intrigued about this game. I need something to kind of hold my attention right now. And Prince of Persia is doing that, but I'm gonna be done with it soon. And Helldivers is Helldivers 2 is coming, and I have a feeling I'm gonna have a great time with that game, but it's not gonna be able to hold my attention as much as I hope Suicide Squad can. But we'll see. It's just it's getting interesting as some embargoes are lifting and some people are giving out some more opinions. I'm trying to just tread this delicate balance of forming my own opinion and not being biased, not having a built-in bias before I start playing the game. So, but at the same time, it's still an investment that I need to decide if I want to make. I have requested a copy. I don't expect to get a copy. So then a purchase will have to be made, whether that is out of my pocket or out of DDG's pocket, and that's still a conversation, and that will not sway my opinion either way, obviously, but it is something that is rattling around in my head. Some of it's going to depend on if my friends are getting it too,
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'm interested to play it single player, but I'll be playing with friends potentially as well. But I feel like everyone I talk to were kind of on the fence on whether they're going to pick this up.
Yeah.
I will say the Joker gameplay footage that they did show made him look very fun to play, and I'm kind of intrigued by playing as the Joker. I don't really have any like love or hate for the Joker as a character, and their design is kind of, I'm not vibing with their design, but from a gameplay perspective, it looks really fun. It looks like it could be a fun character.
There's been a heavy focus and heavy emphasis lately on the marketing around traversal, like how you get around Arkham. And the or whatever Metropolis, sorry. And so each character, and then the couple clips that I saw of this, I have not had a chance to watch this final episode yet, but like I saw the same thing you saw. It almost looks like Joker's like skateboarding.
Yeah, so he has an umbrella that's got
Yeah.
jetpacks on it. He can
Yep.
use it to glide and then use it to grind on rails and
Yeah,
buildings, which
so-
kind of looks interesting. It's a good take on
Yep.
like traversal for him.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously their emphasis is on traversal for each of the different characters because that's really how they differentiate, because it's a looter, and with a looter is weapons, and with weapons means the same weapon on multiple characters. So cosmetics don't do it for me. Like for the most part, they have to be like really, really, really good cosmetics. Like the Ninja Turtles cosmetics in Fortnite are what drew my interest, but now I'm playing Fortnite because I'm enjoying it. So the cosmetics did their job to get me there, and the reverse is happening with the new Suicide Squad. I'm interested in the gameplay and the story more than I am in the cosmetics, and the cosmetics aren't going to make or break my decision to buy this game or not.
Yeah, no, I don't think right now it's just going to be based on like what they do for the story for me. They are saying the game is primarily like it could be, you can be primarily a single player person and have fun with this game with the AI squad mates. I am curious though about how, because games like this require you to replay like the same levels over and over and over again. And I want to know what happens when you insert Joker into earlier missions. Like, does the game pay attention to that? Does it care? Or is it just going to ignore it and pretend that like King Shark is in your squad when in reality it's Joker?
Yeah, it just depends on if they reference them being in the squad in the first place, like, or is it just evil or the this versus Suicide Squad, and it's always Suicide Squad. Like to your point, I'd be very curious to how vague or detailed the writing and the dialogue is around each mission.
Yeah, especially from what I played in the alpha, which I can't talk about, but whatever.
Yeah, I think you can. I think I've seen enough.
There's enough footage out there,
Yeah.
but there are certain instances where two characters are talking about what's happening in front of them.
Yeah.
Is Joker going to be able to insert his lines into that conversation, or is it just gonna not, that conversation doesn't exist because
I don't typically the way that like a lot of the service games have lately been handling it is you don't really replay what they call like campaign missions. You just replay auxiliary missions. So you wouldn't go back and play launch content missions as Joker. You could do launch content events, but you wouldn't do like story missions. I don't think Joker's like, we've seen enough of it. I don't think Joker's going to kill the Flash. You probably
when you go into those, but like I would imagine, you might not have the cutscenes leading up to the Flash fight, but maybe you can, if that Flash fight is an event, you can insert Joker into that. And I'm wondering,
I agree.
The Flash have lines for Joker? Will Joker have a comment for Harley?
The two references I have to what you're essentially talking about is The Division and Destiny. And in the Division, you're always just referred to as Agent,
because you're a generic character,
right? And in Destiny, you're always referred to as Guardian,
because you're a generic character,
right?
Not an insulting way, but
no. It's and so they can save themselves from anything, because if they're referencing or talking to you, the player, it's Guardian or Agent versus Joker, Harley Quinn. It's the similar to what we talked about with the problem with the Avengers. Is like, you can't put Captain America in a different armor set. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and in this one you have pretty well defined characters that it's like, how do you work around those life service things that you don't have to really worry about when
I was shocked it was Joker first, though, because that's a very canon character, regardless of what metaverse he's coming from, multiverse, sorry, that he's coming from. It's still a very canon character. Like, the expectation is there's not very often you see Joker outside of his purple suit with green tie. Like, that's just who he is.
Yeah, I imagine they had to start with the Joker because they wanted to do a big one to kind of tease you for the other seasons, but I have a feeling it's going to be less attractive characters as the seasons go on. There are some data mining stuff that kind of point to which characters could pop up, and right now with those data mines, it's hard to tell if those are just characters that are in the game or characters coming via these seasons. So we'll see exactly how they go about that, but they potentially have worked themselves into several corners, and hopefully they thought about those pitfalls that they could be falling into or being trapped into, because we've seen this a lot with live service games. For whatever reason, they always get developed in their own little bubble, and they don't react to like things that have gone wrong and have been fixed by other people.
Yep. I'm deathly afraid that in 3 weeks that I'm going to be talking about Suicide Squad and being like, I don't understand why you did this when Destiny and Division told you not to do it.
Yeah, and I fully expect that to happen in some form.
Yeah, hopefully it's a minor thing,
Yeah.
but it's just weird. With that in mind, as we're growing the Discord, we do have a Suicide Squad centric channel in our Discord. We've been posting some trailers in there. Hopefully, I'm trying to use eventually to assign people roles, so that if somebody's logging in to play Suicide Squad and they're looking for somebody to group up with, they can tag Suicide Squad and it'll tag you if you're playing the game. So as I'm trying to roles in Discord is something that I have done within our separate Destiny Discord, to where like, hey, we're gonna raid. So anybody that's been interested in raiding, it's evolved over time. It's something that does work. So I will probably be pinging people in the server a little bit more than I typically want to, just because there's new and things that I'm trying, and hopefully with the correct interaction and the correct tags, I'll have to ping less. So I do apologize. I hate pinging at everyone. Like I like as I'm typing it, I cringe because I hate it when I get pinged. So, but
I know my whole Discord's muted at this point. Yeah, I'm just like I hate those random pings.
And I hate doing them. But if you do see one from DDG, and it is something you're interested in interacting with the community, just kind of briefly look at the directions. I'll try to make them as easy as possible, as you saying yes, no, or just saying yes, and then if the answer is no, then not commenting. But as I can assign roles, then it'll be easier so that you get less pings for the things that you don't care about. So
yeah. All right, Dave, we'll move on to the thing that we were kind of upset was announced after we recorded. And that is the Xbox Developer Direct. And the Direct, I would say, was pretty successful. I'll go over the highlights and we'll just talk about it as a whole. The first thing up is Avowed is coming fall 2024. They had brief gameplay shown, devs talked about it, but then I believe this week a like 20-minute
there's a long
video was released. Hellblade 2 is coming out May 21st.
Digital only.
Digital only, which
not
a lot of people are upset.
It's like 50, I think.
50, yeah. Which means it might answer my prayers of
they said it's like 12 hours.
Yeah. But I'm still talking about scale wise too. Okay. In terms of like, hey, we kept this at like a certain scale because cost reasons, but in this case, it's just so they can keep it kind of.
People are giving them so much crap about that. Oh, it's been in development this long, and it's only going to be this long, and it's like the little clip they showed on the Direct of like the effort and the energy that they're putting in this game. I've never played the first one. I've heard amazing things about the first one. There's a part of me that wants to play the first one, but the other part of me that's like, I don't really want that thing messing with my head. But like just little things that I've seen over the years of covering video games, like the voice actors and actresses were circling around the microphone to make it sound correct. Like the immersion that they're going for and the style of what they're trying to do. I feel my outside opinion is that Ninja Theory has earned this time and effort based on the first one.
Yeah, and just the small parts we've seen of this game, the visual fidelity they're aiming for, it looks like it could be one of the best looking games of this generation. And they can do that if they go for a shorter experience and a more focused linear thing, which again was what the first one was.
Right.
So like you can't be pissed that the second one is similar to the first one in terms of
structure. Do you really want to play a game that's going to mess with your head for 30 hours? Like,
no. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff that I've heard about like the voices in your head and she has got control of it. I want to play it, but I don't think I'm in any shape of mental state to play this game right now.
Oh yeah, no, and the whole point, like they talk so much in the first one how they like researched like mental health conditions and tried to mimic that stuff. It could be a brutal game at certain points.
Yeah,
and definitely a world you probably wouldn't want to spend more than 12 hours in.
Right.
The next thing that we got was from Square Enix. Visions of Mana is coming summer 2024. Not Game Pass. They didn't mention anything Game Pass related on the Xbox blog. But this is most likely related to during the Final Fantasy Fan Fest last summer. They said Square Enix games are going to start coming more to Xbox. And this looks like this is the first quote unquote big one until Final Fantasy 14 gets released, which apparently it almost got released last week, but they pulled back a little bit. After that, we got Ara History Untold. This is kind of like a Civilization looking game coming fall 2024. Yeah, I it definitely got me interested. It's a PC only game, so it's coming to PC Game Pass. But this looked pretty good for something that wasn't on my radar. I like the Civ games, but they're really a lot to get into to really enjoy, and I just don't know if I'm ready for that. And then finally, we got Indiana Jones and the Great Circle coming in 2024. Indiana Jones will be primarily in first person with some third person sequences, with cutscenes being third person as well. I put Tom Baker, but I meant Troy Baker.
Yeah.
Is going to be voicing Indy, which is just, there's only two voice actors you can get in this industry, and Troy Baker is one of them. And I think the thing that was, I don't know if it was previously mentioned, but a lot of people were freaking out about it, is Todd Howard is directing the game, even though it is being developed by Machine Games.
I mean, let's be real. With Steve Hines stepping away, Todd Howard's running Bethesda.
Yeah,
Like as Bethesda proper. If I had to, maybe he's not in name doing it, but he's the most senior front facing person. So it's not a huge shock that he's doing this, especially with Starfield kind of doing what it's doing. How do you feel about Indiana Jones character looking almost like, I swear they motion capped Harrison Ford?
I mean, it has to be.
I know, but like you can't get him to do you think that they asked him?
Have you seen him in interviews lately? I'm not saying like he's old or like that. He doesn't give a fuck. Like
Okay.
when you see him in interviews, he's like the most unenthusiastic person in the world. They might have thought about it, but they were probably like, it's not worth it because he's not going to put the effort we need
Okay.
for 10 to 20 hours that this game will probably be.
I was super impressed with the trailer.
Yeah.
I love that they were very transparent about why it's primarily first person, and pretty much the short answer they said is like, this is what we do.
Yeah, we make first person shooters.
Yep. So, and then but they understand that this is what we do, but we understand what we're making.
Yeah.
And
which is why
to
the
pull it out
cutscenes
to
will be
third person and
yeah.
certain action sequence are in third person. I was superly impressed with this game. I was impressed with this entire event. Even removing Visions of Mana from it, if they hit the dates that they're saying for all four of these games, like, it is going to be a very good year for Xbox, because there's stuff coming that we don't know still.
Yeah.
So,
but if this is it, like Avowed in fall, Hellblade in the spring, and then Indiana Jones also probably winter.
Yeah,
that could be crazy.
Our winter, like what, November, December?
I would assume that's where you would probably.
Yeah.
Fit
I mean,
Indy.
I don't think this game is coming this year.
They're saying it is.
Yeah.
They're saying 2024, so I will give them the benefit of doubt of a winter, but I also could see winter turning into January, February.
Yeah.
For them. But the Todd Howard thing I would like to go back to is funny because like this is a big test for Todd Howard because he's been getting a lot of shit the last couple of years of like being potentially like overrated.
Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Starfield.
Yeah. And this is the one thing that like people always defend about him is like, well, he's using like a buggy engine and all that sort of stuff, but his storytelling is solid. They're taking away that bugginess now and giving it to Machine Games. So now it's going to be up to Todd Howard to like really be writing and directing.
Machine Games makes smooth, butter smooth first-person shooters that are really good looking. Yeah. Like the Wolfenstein games, whether you like Nazis or don't, or like World War II or don't, or whatever, those games look awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Whether you want to deal with like a World War II shooter, like they're really good at what they do. And now Todd Howard is at the helm for these games. So this is going to be an interesting test for them. And it's funny because Machine Games, it's just like they really like the World War II era stuff because they're going right to indie and you're going to be doing this.
Well, they came out right away and said, this is when it takes place. This is what's going on. Like they were ready and you know, like, and obviously like they get the control when they talk about it. But, you know, from, I feel like we started talking about this game like a year ago and we thought it was, I didn't expect 2024 for this. Did you?
No, but when they said Machine Games, it's like, they pumped out the Wolfenstein games pretty fast. So I would say it's like a 50-50 of whether it actually comes out this year.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in it. I do question like the audience for Indiana Jones. I know the last movie kind of flopped. it looks like Harrison Ford, but it's not Harrison Ford. So I
Yeah.
wonder if that can have an effect on it. So I just don't know. I would say the market for Indiana Jones is very small. Like I doubt there's like a lot of like teenagers that are like, oh, cool, a new Indiana Jones game
Yeah.
is coming. So this almost feels like a vanity project because it's like this is the franchise that the developers, chose to work with.
And I also think it might be Microsoft proving itself to Lucas.
It could be of just like give us a Star Wars or Disney, more importantly,
Yeah.
give us a Marvel property,
Right.
which they already got technically, but
Mhm.
they with Blade, but it's one of those things where Blade's not that high on that
Yeah.
like Marvel tier list, and also they're being very like hush hush on whether it's going to be exclusive or not.
Yeah.
So this could be a test to Disney of just like let us get more of your properties and let us make them exclusive.
What do you think of, because it's been on the heels of it too? Like, I don't know if you saw, did you see the comments from the Microsoft CEO about them being like their goal is ultimately to be like a top tier publisher?
You'd have to refresh my memory. That sounds familiar, but I don't know.
He's saying that he would like they want to be a, he like he was doing like a media tour recently with the closure, like the official closure of the Activision Blizzard acquisition, and he was kind of talking about it, and he was saying like they want to be, he was kind of phrasing it that they want to be a publisher like on PC, on console, on PlayStation, on Nintendo, and they want to be they feel like they're in a position to be a good publisher. It's fitting the mantra of what we've been talking about for years, of where they're like the box is just a vanity for them, the consoles are just a vanity for them, and the focus is Game Pass. And then obviously they're trying to be the, hey, we offered them Indiana Jones, they said no.
Yeah, I think that is like the idea of them being a publisher is like a very short term plan because the ultimate plan is just to get people to subscribe to Game Pass.
Right.
So I would imagine you will trickle out some stuff like Hi-Fi Rush sounds like it's almost for sure coming to PlayStation and Switch, down the road. So I imagine you do sprinkle out some games here and there, just like PlayStation does with the PC stuff, with their first party stuff. Like, hey, we sprinkle some stuff out here, but if you really want to play this stuff day one, you need to have our console. And I could see that being Xbox's strategy of just like, hey, Indiana Jones is coming to PlayStation a year after release. So if you want to get it now, subscribe to Game Pass. If you want to wait a year and give us money that way. So I imagine that could be like a strategy of like why they would be like, oh yeah, we want to be a popular publisher, but in reality, the money's not in publishing.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, the money's in services, or Microsoft thinks the money's in services. People can agree or disagree with that, but like, I guess I know your opinion on this, but I've seen this, mantra over social media the last week or so of like, why does everything have to be on everything now? Like what do you like there's like the fanboys are like holding on to their like, oh well, we have this and you don't mantra, and it's driving me nuts lately. And
yeah, no, it's very short-sighted,
Yeah.
Especially in a world where like everyone's like barely scraping by like financially in terms of like, so the idea that like the content being more accessible by more people is somehow harmful is just kind of crazy, like that's part of the reason why we like cut cable, to have more choice.
Feel like
and it backfired.
I feel like somebody's going to be genuinely mad in 24 months when you could just go buy a Roku style stick and plug it into your TV and Bluetooth your Xbox controller to it and play stuff.
Oh no, the people are going to be pissed about that, but just like
let them play. Like who cares where they play? Let them play.
But it's just like, people that were like hyping up the PlayStation Portable. If that was an Xbox Portable, they'd be pissed. They'd be like, "This is the dumbest thing in the world." But because it's PlayStation, like they're super excited about it.
But then I'm like, oh, I have my ROG that can do the same thing if I wanted to. Yeah, but it's not. It doesn't have a DualSense. I don't care. Like, I can go outside my house and play it. Can you?
Yeah, no, and that's all. It just comes down to like the gatekeeping fanboyism that I don't think will go away ever. People are always gonna defend the one thing they have, and
it's like when basketball can't be played in Europe. Like this is the National Basketball of America. I know that's not what it stands for.
Yeah.
National Basketball Association, just for the record, in case somebody doesn't. But it's Europeans playing basketball. Like who cares?
Yeah, it's gonna come down to the thing. Like the fanboy stuff will eventually just turn into like, oh, so Samsung doesn't have the PlayStation app, but Sony does and Roku does, or and people are just gonna change their brand loyalty to the TV manufacturers, because that's where it's going to end up going, is just apps built into the TV
I don't
for consoles.
I don't miss. I guess I maybe it's different because we covered one platform for so long, but I don't miss something random showing up on my YouTube feed of a game and being worried about where it's coming. Like I don't
'Cause then
miss
it's
that.
yeah.
Now I
It
understand I'm in a
sucks.
unique situation that I have a good gaming PC, a good portable PC, and a PS5 and an Xbox Series and a Switch. Like I understand that I'm kind of the minority of that, like the 1%er. Like I get it. And I genuinely feel bad now when I like one of my coworkers, I'm like, "Hey, did you see this?" He's a little older than me. I'm like, "Hey, did you see this Indiana Jones game?" "Oh, they're making a new Indiana Jones game?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's going to be but it's Microsoft." And he's like, "Damn." He literally like, "Damn, I got a PS5."
Yeah.
And like I felt bad for him. Like that sucks. Like
Yeah.
because your person is a fan of a series that's exclusive to the platform you don't own, and then asking you to go out and spend minimum $350-$400 to get another platform for possibly one game sucks. And for the record, it sucks the other way. If like if somebody bought somebody an Xbox for Christmas and they're a fan of Last of Us and they really wanted to play it again, oh, it's only on PS5. Like the remaster's only on PS5. Oh, I have a PS4 and a Series X now. Oops. Okay.
Yeah, no, and that's sort of like fanboyism stuff is just always gonna be there, and like I just want everyone to kind of just be able to play whatever games are
Yeah.
available, and it's just never gonna end, Dave. Like at a certain point, like it's gonna be frustrating, and you want people to just it's like the people that were against cross-platform play,
Yeah.
and it's just so dumb when
I don't
people are
want
against
mouse and
cross-platform.
keyboard in my lobby.
Yeah, and there's people being upset like, oh, the people on Xbox Live are really annoying. The PSN's so much well behaved. It's just like, no, it's the same people. It's just they're just locked off on platforms. But Dave, we could debate that all day. But you wanted to add one more news
Yeah.
story, and that is WWE is coming to Netflix. So WWE signed a 10-year, $5 billion deal with Netflix to be the home for Monday Night Raw for the next 10 years. Live and also archived. This deal starts in 2025, and over time it will start including the premium live events, but currently they have a deal with Peacock for the premium events that runs until 2027. So basically within the next couple years, Netflix is just going to turn into the archive home for WWE, and also be running all the WWE live shows, which Netflix has only dabbled in live streaming for like a Chris Rock concert and then one more thing that I can't remember. So this is going to be a big test for Netflix. This is huge for WWE. Their previous deal, I think currently right now for Monday Night Raw, they're getting paid $250,000 per year, and now it's got bumped up to $500,000 per year for Monday Night Raw. This also was announced that The Rock is joining the board of directors for UFC and WWE for that parent company. So that means he's got a little bit more power, and yeah, just get ready to see WWE advertisement all over Netflix next year.
So, a couple questions. One,
Yeah.
has McMahon sold the WWE? And I
Yeah,
missed
he
it.
sold them last year.
To whom?
The parent company of UFC. So now UFC and WWE
Right, okay,
are
all right,
merged
that-
under the brand TKO.
Yeah. And The Rock also owns the Spring Football League.
Yes, which
is
there's-
merged. The XFL and the USFL have merged.
yes.
So it's like a UFL now or something. Okay.
Yeah, which and he's been trying to find a home for that, and he might have, now that he's part of the company that owns WWE.
Yeah,
He
it
might have
does.
been
Are
able
you
to
talking about a TV
find a
home
home.
for it?
Yeah,
He's got
like,
a TV contract with like ESPN, ABC, and Fox right now. So
it's a short-term contract from what I
Yeah,
understand, and he's trying
yeah.
to find like a permanent home to actually like make it a thing.
yeah.
Uh,
And then the other question is like I swear like we just had this recently, within a couple, I guess a year or two, and I guess to your point, what the hell happened to the WWE network?
so that they got rid of that.
That merged into Peacock, right?
Yeah, basically Peacock bought the rights to it, and then they just
So
threw
this is
everything on
essentially
Peacock.
the end of the WWE network.
Yeah, so the WWE network ended in the United States like
Okay.
4 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
they basically just folded all that content into Peacock. So
Right.
Peacock just had another little like
WWE
branch.
tab at the top.
Yeah.
So it was that's what I felt like the WWE Network went into Peacock. Peacock bought it, but I still thought it was still an infrastructure kind of was still there. And it's just fascinating to me. I'm like, I figured that was, I guess I didn't equate that to being a television contract for Peacock.
It basically was a television contract because the WWE Network actually kind of failed miserably.
Okay.
They were always trying to hit 2 million subscribers, and they would barely pass 1 million subscribers, and they eventually just
go ahead. I'm sorry.
They just took a lifeline from Peacock, basically, and Peacock's
Okay.
like, we'll host all that content.
So then, I guess like this is how long it's been since I watched wrestling, but like SmackDown still exists, right? Or no?
Yeah. So okay.
Where's that being aired? Like, I'm just sorry. I'm asking as an ignorant fan.
All their TV deals are up this year.
Okay.
So Monday Night Raw was on the USA Network.
Right.
NXT,
like it's been there for like since I was like 12.
30 years.
Yeah.
30 years. There's like a couple years they weren't on the USA Network, but still.
Yeah.
Monday nights were Raw. Tuesday nights was NXT, and those are both on the USA Network. And then Friday night SmackDown was on Fox, like regular Fox, like you can get over the antenna.
Okay.
All three of those deals are up. And basically what happened is the USA Network is getting SmackDown.
Okay.
NXT is going to the CW.
Okay.
So you got Universal gets SmackDown, Warner Brothers gets NXT, and now Netflix is getting Raw. And
I feel bad for a wrestling fan.
Yeah, because now you're kind of
you don't have a hub.
Yeah, for one company.
Yeah,
like you're spread out over 3 networks. It sounds like eventually
I guess as an NFL fan, I watch 3 different channels every weekend too. But you know.
But it's not like each game is like a storyline going through each of them. But it sounds like eventually Netflix will become just the ultimate home for it once those other TV deals potentially go away, or if they can't find a good enough deal for when those TV contracts are up.
They're going to raise the price of Netflix again.
Oh, they already said today that they're considering increasing the price on Netflix and then getting rid of the middle tier. And just having the ad tier and then the highest tier. Yeah, because right now there's like
I think I have the highest tier because I got to put my kids on it and I can't do the password sharing and the home location thing. And I swear my Netflix is up to like $40 a month. However, it's allowing my one child in a dorm to be able to watch whatever she needs to watch, and my married child, because like I financially cannot let my oldest son purchase a $21 a month account when I can pay $38 for everybody or whatever. Like I can't do it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see when they increase it because of wrestling. And you're just like, I'm sorry, I'm not paying an extra $10 for Monday Night Raw. But yeah, a lot of weird shakeups, and this is just like another losing. Like whatever you think about wrestling, 30 years on cable is like kind of a big staple for cable television to be losing to Netflix, and that just
I'm starting to wonder like what cable has. Like this is like I don't have cable.
They have AEW and NBA basketball. Like that's pretty much what they have.
You can get almost all that on ESPN. The day that ESPN, like I'm sorry, and I know you're not as big of a sports fan as I am, but the day that ESPN says, "Hey, $20 a month, whatever you want, with no cable, no TV subscriber login required," is the day that you stick a fork in cable.
Like, yeah, if ESPN, or I mean, even if just like NBA League Pass, MLB Network Pass, if they can figure out a way to not black out the local market, like
it's already kind of starting to happen. So Diamond Sports which is Bally. I don't know. Do you have Bally Sports for your like the White Sox?
No, but I know Bally. We have NBC Universal. For
Amazon has purchased a minority stake in Diamond Sports Entertainment, which is Bally, stopping Bally from going bankrupt. And now, soon, like at least for me locally, Tigers games, Pistons games, Red Wing games will be accessible via Amazon Prime.
See, that would be something I'd be interested in. Right now, I have to use like my parents' cable subscription in order to stream
White Sox games.
Yeah, White Sox games and Bulls games.
And you already have Prime, right?
Yeah, I have Prime.
And so do I. Like I had I had a conversation with one of my coworkers, and he was kind of annoyed by it. I'm like, okay, well, you have a cable subscription. He goes, yeah. I go, I don't. I said, so like this interests me. Like I have, full disclosure, I have an alternate account on my parents' Spectrum account. that I essentially log into ESPN for. That's it. That's like the only thing I
That's
use
literally
it for.
what I
Yeah.
do. I sign into TNT and NBC Universal Sports like
Yeah.
That's it.
Um, and I think Spectrum's having a problem with Fox. So I do think right now through the end of football season, I think Angela said we have Sling for like $20 a month or whatever. And then once football season's over, we're probably going to stop, especially now because for a long time she was saying we might keep Sling for the Tigers games, but the Detroit Tigers games. But if I can watch on Prime, like I'll keep Prime.
And you guys are gonna get the one of the better sports commentators from
Yeah.
the White Sox,
Yeah.
which
So-
still hurts.
I still don't understand why he left you guys, but I don't. For us, like I don't get it.
So what he said is the White Sox owners didn't like his analytical approach to the game.
Okay.
And he wanted to emphasize more analytics into the commentary. And they're like, no, we just want Steve Stone to talk about the good old days.
Okay.
And then also he likes to do college football commentary, and the White Sox wouldn't accommodate him doing that from time to time.
Okay.
So they were like, no, we need you for those Saturday games that no one watches.
In September, when if it's different if you're competing versus not competing.
Yeah, but even then, like when you make the playoffs, sometimes you don't even get the local team doing commentary because it's on national TV. Yeah. So the White Sox were like unwilling to work with him on that stuff.
That's a mini random news, current event news tangent. Sorry, guys.
yeah. Sorry, that's also super local sports. Shit, but yeah.
Chicago, Detroit only. Welcome to your local Great Lakes sports.
Yeah.
All right, playing and watching. So mine's brief. I'll be quick. I did mess around with Prince of Persia a little bit more. I don't enjoy currently playing video games on my couch. I like playing.
You got used to your desk.
Yeah, and I have it on my PS5. I keep kicking myself, and I'm not doing it. I just need to like see if remote play works better now that I have better internet down, so I can play it down here if I wanted to. But, and I don't want to bring my PlayStation downstairs. Like that's just a lot. So that's part of it. And then, like I mentioned before, Arkham Asylum. So I'm playing Arkham Asylum. Streamed it a little bit, so there's a replay on YouTube and on Twitch. Just kind of messing around with it. It's not very long, so I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and finding the collectibles is way easier 10 years later, just because they weren't as hidden and stuck in weird corridors and shadows and stuff like that. So I do like it. I forgot how basic the dialogue is, but the Joker just did a phenomenal job in that game. Just phenomenal.
Oh yeah, Mark Hamill's fantastic in that.
And then obviously watched a lot of football this weekend, and work, and we got some pretty gnarly ice again this week. The last week or so with weather has been interesting. It's been mild winter for the most part, so I can't complain too much about the last 10 to 12 days. But Lions obviously did win, so that's kind of holding a lot of my attention right now. I just don't know what to like. I'm not used to. I'm actually getting. I feel like I realized this on like the way to work today or yesterday. Like I feel like I'm getting emotionally tired of football right now, just because I'm not used to being emotionally invested at the end of January. Like usually I'm unemotionally invested by like picks. Thanksgiving. Yeah. It's like, and
like, oh, this quarterback is good.
It's kind of exhausting. Like I'll put the Chiefs Bills game on and I'll be putzing on my phone. I'll be doing something else in the house. I'll pay attention when the announcers get loud. When I'm watching the Lions game, I'm 100% focused, man. Yeah, so that's essentially been the majority of my time. As I don't know if I said this or not, but Angela is a full-time teacher now for the district that she works in. So she's a teacher, and not a building sub or substitute teacher. Like she's still going to school for her master's, but she got at the beginning of the semester read Martin Luther King. She's a full-time teacher, so major props and kudos to my wife and the editor of the show. But she's trying to figure out her routine for that as well, and her first 10 days as a full-time employee, she's had Martin Luther King Day, a snow day, and another snow day. So,
it's a nice way to get casually.
Yeah, so she's kind of more annoyed because she's trying to get into a routine with her students and she can't. So, but so just there's just there's a couple things going on with the family that are taking up more of my time. As we're still recouping and getting used to the new routines after the death of her grandmother. So, it's been a pretty. What is today? The 21st. It's been a pretty crazy 23rd. It's been a pretty crazy 3 weeks to kick off the year. So, but that's it for playing and watching for me. So
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit more Prince of Persia. Still super enjoying it, but it's one of those games. I this is what I do with a lot of Metroidvanias. I just kind of casually play them. I never sit down and just like play for long sessions. It's kind of like, oh, let me make a little more progress in the map, and then I move on. Still enjoying it. Still think it's like a game everyone should be playing, especially right now before the releases start kind of snowballing in. But the other thing that I played that released last week was Another Code Recollection. So this is a remake of a DS and Wii game. It's a collection of both of those games, but they did something pretty clever with it. Since they were fully reimagining the DS game that was like a top-down point-and-click one, and then a Wii game that was focused on Wago, they decided to just like combine both of the games into one story and just kind of go from there. So this is now, instead of a top-down point-and-click game, it is a third-person puzzle game, and I would say it is probably one of my biggest surprises of the year. This is one of those games I forgot I pre-ordered because as soon as they announced it, I was like, I remember the original being Trace Memory, that being one of the DS games that I knew the cover, but I never got around to playing it. So the idea of playing this, like 20 years later on the Switch was something I was like super interested in doing, and I completely forgot it was coming out so soon until I got like the Amazon delivery notice being like, hey, your pre-order shipped, and it's also been delivered. So this game follows the story of basically a girl who is trying to unravel the truth about her mother's death. Her mother was killed when she was 3, and her father, who was a scientist, basically abandoned her for 11 years and went off to go on an island and do some science stuff. So she's on her way to that island to figure out what happened to her mother and to basically like question her dad of like what was so important that he felt the need to abandon her and go to this island. And from there, you are trying to unravel those truths. Along the way, there may be a ghost boy that you interact and have to help him solve his death. And the game is focused mostly on like remembering stuff, in terms of like everyone has like recollections of their past, and they're trying to put their memories together, no matter how fuzzy they may be, to try and figure out what happened all those years ago. The so Sarah basically played, like, she loved the DS game, Trace Memory, so she has like a pretty good idea of everything that happened in the game. I only have like a vague recollection of what happened in Trace Memory from all those years ago. And then the Wii game that is like the second part of this collection never came to the US. It was only, I think, in Japan or Europe. So that was all new to us. But this very much feels like when they say Another Code recollection, it definitely feels like they're having like a recollection of the story, because it's not beat for beat what happened. It's the overarching stories there, and they change things here and there. For the most part, they kind of made things a little bit lighter in tone, because there's a lot of dark themes in the game, and it was a lot darker on the DS, and they decided to like kind of remove some of that darkness and lighten it up a little bit, but not in a way that it loses that core story. So depending on how much you loved the original, you could be a little upset that they cut certain things. Along with things that were cut is a lot of the different puzzles. Like the original game was on the DS and the sequel was on the Wii. So you imagine a lot of the puzzles you had used the dual screens or used waggle support. So a lot of the puzzles are missing, and a lot of the puzzles had to be reworked for this. But overall, I think they do a good enough job of staying true to that original story, and also realizing that people probably weren't interested in some of those like more gimmicky puzzles that were present in the previous games. With that said, they did also kind of make this a very easy game to play, for better or worse. It's really, I would say it's difficult to get stuck in this game, because the puzzle layouts can be a little bit on the easier side. There is a navigation and hint system that you could turn on that basically just it does, the navigation system doesn't only point you in the right direction, it's like highlighting like the solutions for puzzles, and then you have
Mhm.
a hint system on top of that that just makes everything just the most unchallenging thing in the world. So that's something that like a quarter through the game we turned some of that stuff off, and even after that the puzzles were very easy to get through. And it does seem like Arc System Works, the developer of this game, they wanted to just make sure you got through the story. Like the story was the most important thing for them in this remake, and they executed the story, I think, really well. So this is one of those games that you don't have to have any familiarity with the originals to enjoy. You can enjoy it as its own standalone thing. I do like that they didn't separate the games, because so many times, Dave, when you play like a collection, usually the menu's broken down into each game and you can play
Oh
them.
yeah, yeah. It's like it's not a flow. It's like, okay, let me back out to the menu, go back into a new game. Yeah.
Yeah, this one you finish the first game and then it just starts a new chapter for the second game, and they tie them in nice. There's like some little bit of cutscenes between them to tie them a little bit better together, and they do their best to make that as like streamlined as possible. There are some hiccups a little bit in terms of tone, because the DS game has a really dark tone, and the game that was on the Wii had a lesser dark tone. Still dealt with dark themes and
Mhm.
material, but it was a little bit lighter because it was the Wii. So they try their best to like kind of even out both experiences, so it's not like a shock going from one game to the other. And depending on how you feel about the originals, that might be bothersome to you. But as someone who did not play the originals fully or ever, it didn't bother me one bit. Sarah, who played Trace Memory and loved it, enjoyed this collection, but was still like, they cut some of the stuff that I wished was there. But it
The
was
old
still
adjective is the book's still better than the movie.
kind of, yeah. And
Yes.
it but this does, like, she still enjoyed this on
Yeah.
its own, and I enjoyed this experience, being my first playthrough of like this franchise. So it's definitely something worth picking up. It sounds like physical copies are kind of hard to get right now
Really?
from it.
Okay.
Like this was published by Nintendo, because it's a franchise they own, and it looks like they might not have been super confident in this being a seller, so they were probably pushing digital more than physical. But I think this is definitely worth picking up, and the work they did, uh, like reintroducing this character to like the public in 2024. I think now, if they wanted to, the main character is someone that, if Nintendo wants to use again, I think they have a really likable character with a really cool character design, that if they wanted to go back to this franchise and continue it in whatever form, they could. And I think they they could have something here. They could have like their Ace Attorney,
Mhm.
their Agatha Christie series, their Sherlock Holmes series, if they wanted to, because I think they did a really good job of like setting a tone and making a new character essentially. Because in the DS there was no voice acting. In this collection there is voice acting,
Oh,
so
okay.
they do a lot more work to make this character like fully fleshed out.
Which is not typical for Nintendo when they redo stuff.
Yeah, yeah, and this is, and I think this was good that Nintendo, when they redo stuff, tends to be like, hey, this is the exact same thing you played
Mhm.
before. You saw that with like the 3D Mario collection,
Yeah.
and some of the Paper Mario stuff. It seems like it's like, hey, we just remade it. It looks nicer. But this one, like, some actual work
Yeah.
went into it in terms
On
of,
the Tales of Super Mario RPG in this,
yeah,
they're not shoveling it back out and just saying, "Oh, we put it on." They're not like slapping it on a Switch cartridge and sending it out.
yeah. They looked at this and are like, how do we present
Yeah.
these two games in 2024?
Awesome.
And they might have lost some things at some point, but overall, I think they came out with like a really good game, really good experience. It's about 15 hours too. We played it in 2 sessions, basically. It was a Star weekend. Like, it came by surprise on a Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, there's a
Like
package. Oh, wait, what did I order?
no, basically, yeah. Like because I think originally I was supposed to receive it like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
But I had ordered something for delivery on Saturday, and I guess Amazon was just like, well, we're not making 2 trips to his house, so they threw the game in there.
Did you get it
Uh,
technically early then, or no?
It came out the 19th, so
Yeah, maybe not. So okay.
maybe not, but it definitely wasn't supposed to be at my house until like the 23rd or
Okay.
some weird date.
Yeah.
But yeah, highly recommend it. That was my weekend though, so I didn't watch anything.
Okay.
I just played that and The Little Prince of Persia.
I forgot to mention when I said the book's better than the movie. It jogged my memory. So I have been watching with Owen, Disney's Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
Oh, with Edge.
Yes.
He's in that movie.
Yes, he is.
Or a TV show.
Edge.
Is it a show or
It's-
movie?
It's a show.
Okay.
There is a movie that came out years ago, and they're all
Yeah.
based on books. And so this is a book series that my older son really liked. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and the Lightning Thief, was a series of books written by Rick Riordan, and apparently he wasn't as involved in the movie as he is in the television show that's on currently on Disney Plus right now. And that show seems to be getting rave reviews. And then I think did I say that I saw Aquaman 2 last week?
You might have. I remember
Okay.
Aquaman being brought up, but I don't know if
Yeah.
you've seen it yet.
Yeah, well, Owen and I watched Aquaman 1 on Netflix. And then I think that I was complaining about Ansel having a snow day last week, like one day after school when we recorded. So I think on Wednesday when we had the snow day, we watched Aquaman. We went to the theater and watched Aquaman 2. Not as good as the first one, but I think this is the tie ending of the Schneider
Yes.
the DCU
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The wasn't expected to be the end, but
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah. And again, I'm gonna mess up the characters' names, or not the characters, the actress' name. The woman that was suing Johnny Depp.
Amber Heard.
Yeah, she plays Aquaman's wife, and she was in the show in the movie like a total of like 8 or 9 minutes because she did apparently that it just focus group did not go well with her.
Yeah. They basically had to like work around,
And she's
cut her stuff
blaming
down.
that the Johnny Depp thing as to why she's not in the movie that much.
Yeah.
So there was enough drama around that. But at its core, as growing up as a swimmer as a kid, the Aquaman character has always been cool to me. So the effects in the movie were cool. The writing could have been a little bit better, but I'll be really curious to it's James Gunn now, right? Has essentially is doing DC stuff. So I'll be curious to what direction they go, and because they're going to start with Batman and Superman, right? Like we're going to get another.
They're starting with Superman. There is going to be another Matt Reeves Batman, but that's
Okay.
not in the James Gunn universe.
Okay, so
So
I don't know. Just hopefully somebody can get DC going in a good direction that people, want to go see it. So
you have a Joker sequel this year, and then a Batman movie next year, but they have nothing to do with the Superman movie that's coming next year. So it's still going to be a little confusing. But honestly, if at the end of it they're like none of our movies are connected, I'm going to be like, good job.
yeah,
I think that's all we need at this point.
So. All right, so our questions and comments using hashtag AskDigitalDays. So Grey Ghost, Tom sent one in. I think we've answered this similar to this before, but how do you guys feel about a remaster getting a new review? Do you think that a remaster or a remake deserves a Game of the Year award? You can use the most recent Last of Us 2 and Resident Evil 4 as examples. So go ahead.
I would say a remake can be considered for Game of the Year, but a remaster shouldn't, because a remake tends to be something that a little bit more work goes into, and a remaster to me is just a port.
Yeah.
So in his example, The Last of Us Part 2 is a
remaster.
port. It's a remaster.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4
Is a remake.
is a remake because it adds stuff, it changes some things. Still,
Yep.
that's core experience.
Yeah,
The game I just reviewed, Another Code Recollection,
Yeah.
that is a remake, not a remaster. So I would consider that for Game of the Year.
The amount of effort, and this is not a dig on Sony when I say this, the amount of effort that Capcom has put into their remakes versus the amount that Sony puts into their remasters is significantly different. And I don't consider the roguelike stuff in Last of Us to be warranting enough for the price tag. It warrants enough for me to do the $10 upgrade. But I'm just kind of to the point where, like, I noticed the other day I was talking to the same coworker about the Indiana Jones game, and he realized that in conversation he hasn't played the first Last of Us, and I was like, this is a game that you have to play, and it would be the level. If I told Angela you hadn't played it, she would tell me to buy it for you. So I started digging into
Mhm.
how much it cost. Like, and I didn't really like Last of Us Part 1 on PS5 version. It's like $70.
Yeah, I think it's mostly down to 50, but yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
but I mean, like, I think he has a digital PS5. So if I was gonna, I think it's $70 on the PSN store.
It might still be.
But I can't
I'm
tell how
pretty
much it
sure
costs because I own it. It just says when I search it, it just says download the console, which is fine.
I gotta look up.
Yeah.
I gotta look. I'll look it up.
So, but it's just kind of like that thing of like the circling back, like the work that Capcom did on Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, and 3 and 4, and all the things that they've been doing to it compared to
$70. Damn.
yeah.
Okay. That's stupid.
Yeah. See, it's like, for 60 frames a second, like or a locked 100 frames or whatever it is, like but Capcom is essentially fully redeveloping these games. Like they're not just adding a little additional thing here or playing as a different character. They're, to your point, they're fixing mechanical issues, game mechanics.
Yeah, and they're also like sometimes reshuffling scenes. They're cutting stuff. They're adding stuff. Like there's actual work and thought being put into it. Not that there's not work or thought being put into the Naughty Dog remakes, but for the most part, it's just like, can we stabilize this?
Mm-hmm.
Can we make the textures just a little bit higher resolution? I looked at the Digital Foundry video for The Last of Us Part 2, and even they were like, let's compare the textures. And they're like, I don't see a difference in these textures. And it's kind of a bummer, especially like when you look at The Last of Us Part 2, there's already a 60 frames per second patch for the PS4 Pro. So
I'm halfway tempted to tell my buddy to buy the PS4 version. It'll play on the PS5 fine.
And then you can do the $10 upgrade.
Yeah.
Like you can find a used copy of the first game for like nothing. And then do the $10 upgrade for part 2 at least. But yeah, for part 1, yeah.
Well, and we never even talked about this either, and I didn't realize this. So and we bought it digitally. I think DDG bought it when it came out, part 2.
Yeah.
But if you bought the disc version of Last of Us Part 2 on PS4 and bought a digital PS5, you're screwed.
No, yeah, you're basically screwed.
No, you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to buy the game again at full price. And I think that sucks. Like they should be able to see like a save file. They should be able to like at a certain point in time, like the amount of customers that happened to, there should be some type of, make it $15. I don't know. Like, but I that sucks because you have to put your PS4 disc in your PS5. So that's an advocate reason to
Dave, you're being too negative about PlayStation. Someone's gonna get upset.
That's an advocate reason to just buy your Sony exclusives digitally, because when they do a digital remaster of it later, you already have it. And you don't have to worry.
If you think about it, their plan to get you into digitally only feature is way more aggressive than like Microsoft's and Nintendo's even.
So, all right, I think that's our show. So, like I said, you can join the Facebook group that's linked in the show notes. Discord server is linked in the show notes. That's where a lot of the hub is going to be. That's where you're going to see a lot of emphasis and push. I will probably be pushing in the Facebook group for you to join Discord, as politely and respectfully as possible. Like Discord is just going to function better than Twitter and Facebook in the immediate future. It just is. I understand the stuff can get buried in there, but it's an easier way for you guys to have separate channels to find stuff, voice channels and text channels and all that stuff. It just functions better. It truly does. So please consider joining Discord. I think if you've never used Discord, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the functionality and how it flows as you learn, and it's a learning curve. So like I mentioned before, the Patreon tiers or the patreon.com/digitaldaysgaming. The tiers are there. Check that out. Consider us, if you so choose, for your 2024 budget as you're budgeting some stuff. We've gotten a couple new subscribers recently. Randy, I think actually they're both Randys. So,
they both are Randys.
Yeah. So thank you for that as well. Your support is appreciated as always. And let us know like what you want to see in Patreon or what other additional content you want to see, as well as feedback on the show in general. Please leave a review, comment, post something in Discord. Just even in the general, any kind of feedback for the show. Love the questions that we get when we get them. So we really appreciate that. And with that, I hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya. All right.
right, guys. Thank you on the stream for watching. Hope everyone has a great night. Appreciate you guys hanging out.